I'm talking to you. I'm talking.
Welcome to the next episode of the Root Zone podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Stout. I'm excited, thrilled, and honored to have my next guest, Mr. Zack Smith of Gregson-Clark. I got it up there on there it's somewhere. The whole name is Gregson-Clark Spraying Equipment. But I wanted to bring Zack on. I've known Zack for, I guess, you've been there 10 years, Zack?
Yeah, it'll be my 11th year in May.
So 11 years. So I've known you for 11 years then. I've talked to you at least once every quarter of the season for 11 years now. So we might not be considered friends, but I feel like I know you more than the average vendor per se. So that's why I wanted to have Zack on here. And the main reason I wanted to have Zack on here is one, to highlight Gregson-Clark and how awesome their company is and what they've done for me, and two, really highlight their customer service and what you do and getting parts to people and explaining problems and issues that people have with their sprayers is I think the best in the business. I've used a bunch of different people, and I think you guys do it the best. But so let's jump in here real quick. Zack Smith, you've been at Gregson-Clark 10 years. Before you got into Gregson-Clark, seems like you did some other kind of crazy stuff. Where a glass company, is that right?
Yeah, so there's been a bunch of stuff. So I'll go back to like kind of the beginning because it all ties in, I guess. So graduating high school, as I'm going through college, met up with the guy who was launching an online action sports eyewear company. And my background is in racing motorcycles. So that was like the best thing ever. So we sold like goggles for snowboarding, motocross, sunglasses, pretty much anything eyewear to do with that industry we were selling. So that let me learn a lot about like search engine optimization, coding. And it was small enough that I kind of had my hand in everything: marketing, sales, shipping, ordering, customer service, like financial stuff. So it was a good deep dive into everything early on.
Yeah.
And that lasted for, I think, like 4 years or so, 5 years. And then just wasn't quite what he wanted it to be. And he was pretty big into real estate. So we kind of said, I'm going to go focus more on real estate. And from there, I kind of just bopped around doing some sales jobs here and there. And then, almost 11 years ago, I met up with Rhett. And it was one of those things where like I didn't transfer states or anything. It was Gregson-Clark's in my backyard. So it's, 20 minutes from my house, and I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
But I got hooked up with Rhett, and then I've been there ever since.
Yeah, and it's great. Like that's it's kind of a similar story where like I was doing the restaurant stuff and then all of a sudden this like green industry job came out of nowhere. And I was like, man, this kind of fits my mold. But I was thinking, when you started at Gregson-Clark 10 years ago, were you shooting at the hip at some point? Because there is a lot of knowledge when it comes to, well, let me back up a little bit. Why don't you explain to everybody what Gregson-Clark is? There's a lot of people probably in the industry that's listening to this that know who you are and what you guys do, but there's maybe some that don't, and maybe a couple that could benefit from it.
Yeah, so Gregson-Clark, we're a spraying equipment manufacturer. Our primary industry is like turf and tree care sprayers. We do dabble because it's kind of the same concept, but we do some de-icing stuff. We do some fill stations, and then where we're located as well is a big ag area. So that kind of transfers over a little bit. But our bread and butter is building spraying systems for turf and ornamental companies. And then, we have a giant selection of parts too, whether it's from our sprayers or anybody else's sprayers too.
And how did Gregson-Clark get their start? Were they in the tree and shrub or lawn care business? Is that how they're building their own rigs, or were they in ag, or how that started?
No. So Rhett started, like when Rhett was younger, he kind of was a farm kid, worked on the farm. But then he went to school for, to be in the industry. He started at a lawn care company where we are. He stayed there for a while. And then he went out on his own, had his own lawn care company. And then I think he just got working on he got working on his own stuff so much that he's like, there's not really, there's a void in the industry for this stuff. So when he started, he was working, he was kind of selling the stuff, but then the manufacturer was a place called Gregson up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were building everything for him. He would sell it, but then that kind of got a bad relationship. They were just dropping the ball, not delivering on what they said they would do, sending bad stuff out. And that put him in a really bad spot because then he looked bad because he couldn't fulfill everything he was promising. And then he finally, I think it came down to like he had no other choice but to start building it. And then it kind of evolved from there into what it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. And even from when I was ordering parts, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years ago, from where it is to then to where it is today. I mean, when I was up there picking up my last spray rig, I mean, what do you guys have? Triple the amount of space that you had before?
Yeah, it's not quite every year, but like every other year we've been putting up new buildings. It's crazy. Just in the little bit of time that I've been there to what we've been able to accomplish is it's crazy. It's great. It's what we want to do, and it's been nice because it's not been this huge curve where you're just going crazy. You can't keep up with it. It's good growth, it's steady growth, but it's sustainable, right? We're not losing customers or hurting our current customer base, but we're also able to branch in new stuff like complete truck bodies, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I guess that, that's the one question I had for you too. Like, I was getting into like when you started 10 years ago, you had no knowledge of the sprayer industry. How fast did you have to learn? I mean, because I feel like you were giving me advice on some things about engine. I mean, were you a tinker? I mean, I guess you did know a lot about Honda Motors being a motocross guy or a motorcycle guy, but how long did it take you to learn all that stuff, and how's the transition for you been being the guy that answered every phone call to now? I got to kind of email you directly to get a hold of you now.
I have a good mechanical base. So when I was racing, I did all my own work. I do my motor work, suspension. So I would do that stuff. So that's kind of like a ground level knowledge base, right? And then pumps are kind of the same, but a little bit different. Like a diaphragm pump's kind of like an engine. There's a piston that goes up and down. Instead of combustion, you're pushing water. But there's a lot to learn, and I credit a lot of that to. There was a guy there when I started. His name was Lucas. He was like Rhett's first guy, so he learned everything the hard way, and he wasn't always the easiest to get along with, but like he would show you. He took the time and he'd explain it to you, and then as long as you retained it, he didn't have a problem with you. It was when you kept asking him the same thing over and over again. And it was a point where I kind of jumped in and just kind of immersed myself in everything, and I wanted to know it all. So it just got thrown into it, and you learn it, and you go from there.
And are you guys getting a lot of your work from referral based? Are you seeing people transition from a different company to yours, or are you seeing a lot of new lawn care companies? What's contributing to most of your growth? I guess that's the question over the last 10 years.
So we have a lot of new customers coming on, and we have a lot of repeat existing companies. So I think we're doing a really good job, getting new people in as well. And I hope that when they do business with us and they experience how we work, and they realize the customer service side of things, which we're really focused on. But then also too, like a lot of smaller guys, like even like, I don't want to call you small, but like you have what, 3-4 guys, I'm seeing a lot of those guys get bought up by these, private equity or whoever's buying all these companies up, and they're taking someone like you and they're adding another 10 trucks a year on the road, if not more. That's been a big part of it too.
Have you seen loss from that? Like, have you seen the opposite way where like, hey, this private equity bought up this company and they want to use, we won't call any of the competitors out, but they want to use a different competitor of yours because that's who they use? Or are you seeing, if they got this equipment, that's who they're sticking with?
We might be losing some. It's nothing that's really eye-opening to me. I'm sure there's stuff on bigger trucks, these really big intense builds, we're just not set up to turn those out real fast. So I'm sure we're losing something there as companies grow. But no, I think like a lot of companies, if whoever comes in and buys them, they have a good team in place. They're not kind of getting rid of everybody and starting fresh. So we already have that relationship with the customer. So it's just expanding on what we already do with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when you're thinking about we'll jump into the customer service side. Like what makes, I don't know, I don't understand why you guys are so much better at it than most, but I guess it comes down to answering the phone call and answering questions as quickly as you possibly can. Where does that come from? Where did you get that mindset from? Because there's not many people that think that way in our industry.
That's a shock to me, because like whether it's our industry or not, but if there's an issue, you want to solve it, right? And like there's nothing worse than trying to solve a problem and you can't. So it's probably it's a good thing and a bad thing too. But like you said, I will respond to you pretty quick. Like today we might have been an example because I'm on the road, but you emailed me this morning. I didn't check my emails till about noon. So that's probably the longest it ever takes me to get back to you or somebody like that. And part of it too is like I get anxiety if I have like a giant plate of stuff to do. I hate that feeling, right? So I want to be able to knock anything off that list as fast as possible because it's not going away, right? You just get people what they need, because at the end of the day too, it's a pretty big commitment. Like we're servicing people who are making their living with our stuff. So that's important. You got to remember that if we ignore someone, that's their business, their bottom line being affected.
Yeah. And are you seeing that with this growth, you're saying a lot of new companies? Is it a lot of guys that have 1-2 trucks that's who you're seeing, and are they as inexperienced as I was when I was starting 10 years ago, when I didn't know anything about pumps and I didn't, do you see that? Do you find yourself explaining the same things over and over? I guess that's what I'm asking with the newer guys.
Yes. And that's something like I really want to focus on. And it takes time, but in a perfect world, it'd be nice if I was able to dedicate like a month or two just to shooting videos and have an extensive resource center of like any common question. Getting people to actually watch those is another problem I'd have to deal with. But yes, there's a lot of guys out there that start off, I don't know if they start mowing or they're doing other stuff and they see the money that's available in the application side and they just jump into it. But there's a lot of guys out there that are completely green. So it's you kind of got to hold their hand a little bit to get them going. But it's all the same stuff, right? So it's not a lot of new problems that you see. It's stuff you've experienced before, and it's just getting them the answer, and then hopefully they retain it for the future.
As much as you guys are growing, how far west, south are you guys going? Are you getting into different, grass types and requirements is for spraying? So, up here we can get away with a pretty low rate, but some of the southern states, they want to spray 3, 4, 5 gallons at a time. Is it harder for you to understand their issues and their stuff that they're dealing with, or is it really just one and the same?
It's very similar. I never try to tell someone what they need. I'm more curious, like what are they doing? Like you said, what are you putting out per thousand, or what are the requirements of the system? And then I can take similar components, right? I can swap pumps out, and I can achieve whatever they need with different components. So a lot of times when I feel the call, it's not so much we'll look at our website and just pick those, because our website is just kind of the beginning. I wish I could do a better job conveying that is what's on there is not set in stone, right? That kind of, I can take a single frame and I can make 20 options with that same frame, and I can tailor that to whatever you need. So I think a lot of it's important to have that conversation and see what you need, and then we can get you something that's going to suit you versus someone just buying something and then it doesn't do what they need it to do.
Yeah. And it's a very difficult thing. I remember when I first started Stout Lawn and Pest, and I think we probably had I don't know, two or three, I don't know, 15, 20-minute conversations on how to set this first truck up. And
Yep.
now it's funny now that I have such a network of going to these networks and meeting people all in the industry. I have so many people asking me like how to set up a liquid system or a granular system or however whatever amount you're spraying, how would you set it up? And honestly, I don't know. I most time I say here's my recommendations, but then I say go call Zack because he'll have exactly what you want and what you're thinking. How is that transition too with all the? I mean, your parts inventory must be insane at this point.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And like right now with everything going on, like I was kind of freaking out because all the hose and everything is made in Canada. So and then like sourcing that and a lot of the pumps and stuff are from Italy, and it's just it's a learning experience. You know, we made it through COVID. COVID was really bad too about getting stuff. And
Yeah.
luckily we're in a position where we're able to sit on a lot of inventory so you don't get burned. But that's probably one of the biggest takeaways I took from COVID is that you need to count on yourself because you can't count on anybody else. So we did what we had to do to make sure that we sit heavy, so that we don't run into those situations.
Yeah. 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 Any horror stories about pumps blowing? Like what are some of the things that people have done that totally didn't make sense to you?
Um, Specific horror stories, I don't have one in particular, but it's 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 crazy that people who have been doing this for so long, they don't have that knowledge. Like if maybe it's a smaller company, but just something as simple as like cleaning your strainer. And then you'll say like, well, they call in for troubleshooting or something, and you're kind of going through some stuff, and you're like, all right, well, when was the last time you checked your strainer? And this could be like a piece of equipment that's like 5, 6 years old, and you get, well, what's the strainer? And it's like, oh no, that's not a good thing. So it's that black thing with the yellow plug on the bottom. Oh yeah, that thing. I haven't touched it. I don't know what that is. So it's like, well, there's the problem because you're starving your pump, which blows your diaphragms, and then you've been running your pump on pretty much water for 2 years, and it's locked up or whatever it might be. It's just the basic level of maintenance stuff that's going to make the longevity of everything go a lot longer.
Well, yeah, I think of when I first started, cycling down the pump or like taking the pressure off the pump before you start it, before you stop it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't do that for 5 years, 4 years. I mean,
Yeah.
we set it, we used to set it and forget it. And it was just like, that's where you keep your pump. Don't mess with it, turn it off, turn it on, you know, and come to
Yep.
find out that is not the right thing to do, to extend the life of the pump itself. But I mean,
Yep. Yeah. Starting.
I mean, I do it every year though. I break something. I mean, the running joke with me and you is that I lost a lid the other day. Like I always used to say, "Oh, another guy lost a lid," but then when I started Stout Lawn Care, I couldn't blame it on the guys losing the lid. So,
We sell
but
a
I
ton of
mean,
lids, so it's not just you.
no, I bet. I mean, that's one of the things that now I have stock of. I have to keep a stock of Gregson-Clark parts now. Uh,
Well, and
but I mean,
that's something
what's the?
too. Is
Go ahead.
I would say like that's something too that as you grow and you learn, like just having a few basic parts on hand saves you a ton of time and aggravation. If you have a lid or if you have a diaphragm kit, a couple O-rings for your strainers, like that common stuff. It's the difference of you have to go back to the shop at noon with a half a tank full and wait 2 days versus you have the part in the truck, you can almost fix it on site.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way. I mean, towards the end of my old career, we started to have a parts inventory, and I didn't really. We still don't have one here at Stout Lawn and Pest. We're working on one, but as I'm going through this year, I find myself saying, "All right, we need two of these." I don't know what I just ordered from you, some switches or something. But instead of ordering two, I'm ordering four now of everything.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
because the point is I'm making hopefully these little inventory parts and just have it on hand at all times and make little toolboxes for the trucks, because I don't care how good you are or what you're doing. Something's going to happen where, a branch flies up and cracks one of your, something happens. It always, no matter
Yeah.
what you can do, nobody's perfect.
Yep. Yeah. And
What
it's smart too. Like I said, like,
okay.
just being prepared, just for the $100, $150 for that little toolkit to keep in the truck, is going to make a big difference down the road.
Yeah, for sure. Besides sprayer stuff, you said a little bit of de-icing stuff. Was there any other? I mean, what's ahead for Gregson-Clark? Anything else? Like, you guys looking to get into any other larger industries?
I mean, we're pretty happy with our industry. We don't want to, we're not chasing growth just for growth's sake. We want to make sure that we're doing a good job doing what we do. And we want to make sure that we're providing a good place for everybody that works with us, that has quality of life as well. That's also something that we strive for all our employees. And the way it works right now is, we go wide open from December, the shop starts picking up, and then we'll go, that kind of trickles down, and then the front guys start getting busier, and we'll go wide open for, till May, June-ish, and then it slows down a little bit, and that's nice because everybody can catch their breath, enjoy the summer, and then we come back to work in the fall. We start, redesigning stuff or working on some new stuff, and it kind of starts again. So you work a lot, you get to enjoy your summer, and then you rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and it's funny that you've almost latched on to the green industry. And how is you follow the same ebb and flow we follow here in the Northeast, but how is your agronomic knowledge coming along now that you've been immersed in the green industry for 10 years? Do you have a nice looking lawn now?
No, it's funny. I could care less.
See,
it's funny.
That's hilarious.
It's like the last thing. It's the last thing I want to do. And even a couple of years ago, probably 5 years ago, I did get I got my commercial applicator's license. Just because I was doing spraying some tick and mosquito stuff on the side and nights and weekends. And once I had kids, that kind of got rid of that. I had no more time left. But yeah, when you do it all day, and I guess it's just not a priority for me. I want it to look good, but at the same time, I'm not going to worry about some clover coming out or whatever it is.
I thought you would have a great looking lawn.
No, we did get last year. We started carrying turfware sprayers, the ride-on spreader sprayers. So we do have a demo one at work now. So I keep joking, maybe this year I'll take it out and just put a little herbicide out in a couple rounds and clean it up a little bit. But that's just another thing on my list of stuff to do.
There's got to be a local company that you can barter some parts for, or something where you can get a sharp looking lawn. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And it may be because last year I actually started paying a guy to mow it because I got sick of doing that too. So maybe if I don't have to mow it, if it's growing fast, maybe I will do that. But I don't know, man. It's not on my radar yet. Which is weird, you think I would, but.
But did you get any knowledge? Do you know anything about what we're putting down? All you're looking is what are you looking to get out of it? How many gallons per 1,000 square feet?
For what I would put down?
No, I'm asking you, do you have any knowledge of what you would put down? When I say, hey, I need a sprayer capable of putting this much down, right?
Yeah. I'd probably do, if I was going to do the minimum, maybe a 5-round program. So round one, I'd probably do, I'd put 2 gallons per 1,000. You put your prodiamine in with that. That'd be my round one. Round two, I'd just go down with some cool power with.
So you do have some knowledge,
Yeah.
But did you know it before this industry, or have you just because you've been doing it for so long?
Yeah, just I've been doing it for so long, and then when I got my license, that was part of it too. So I could probably come up with a half-assed 5-round program for the Northeast if I had to for my lawn and my neighbor's lawns, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering if you're like, I don't know, if you like give advice, like, because I mean, at some point you have to know, if someone calls you from Virginia compared to someone calls you from Vermont, or another, somewhere totally different, you got to know what, because like you said it right, you are making the recommendations, you are making calls for them sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna make a product recommendation. I can say, like, hey, this guy here's doing something like this. One of the good relationships I made early on was with Chris Elms at Greene County.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, if I had someone coming up new and they were completely green and wanted to get into it, and I said, okay, well, this is kind of what I'd start with for a piece of equipment and a sprayer. I'm like, here's Chris's number, give him a call. And I know they have a lot of like pre-made template stuff that they can advise based on, geographic location. So I did just kick a lot of stuff to them just because Chris is a good guy. We had a pretty good relationship, and that kind of helped me help the customer without the customer relying on me too much to build a program.
Got you. That makes more sense. Because I always wanted to, I felt like you had a good knowledge of, what I wanted to accomplish with my program. And I guess you, just like everything else, you had this. Where did you meet Chris at?
I think I don't know where I first met him. It was probably a phone call at first. But then, I've ran into him multiple times at the GIE. And just out and about, we've met.
I didn't know you guys went to the GIE.
We never display. I shouldn't say always, like every other year I'll go and walk it. I don't know. I haven't been in the last 2 years, but it just got too big. I feel like there's so much there that it kind of dilutes the people I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know what was really good that we did, I don't know, it all blends together, probably 5 years ago, is we did Real Green had their little conference that they do.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. We did the trade show with them, and that's strictly our customer right there, right? You don't have to sort through anything. That was the best thing ever because I met tons of our customers. I was able to ask or answer a lot of questions for people. But if there was more just like that, I'd be all about those.
Yeah, we go every year to the Real Green Conference. They got bought out by WorkWave, so it's like the third buyout in 10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's diluted the product pretty bad. But like you said, there's no one better in the industry in the fertilizer and weed control space that has as many customers as they have and is a CRM as well. I don't know, well designed is not the right word, but it does everything for you. And it's really good at what it does when it works right. And that is the ultimate industry. And like, that was always the question for us, is because I think networking, I'm sure you've gotten some phone calls. I hope you've gotten some phone calls or directly from me saying, hey, I think, what's his name called you, but that networking aspect with them, I'm so glad I didn't start with Jobber or I didn't start with another program. I started with Real Green because I've met so many people from those conferences that have guided me and helped me along the way. Why don't you go to any more? Why don't you keep going to those?
Yeah, I think it's just time and manpower. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
We tend to run a little lean. So it's kind of a lot of times it's all hands on deck. But this year we did bring on another guy for out front, Matt. You might have talked to him here or there. So he's getting up to speed. He'll be in a good place after this busy season once he kind of gets completely immersed in it and is able to kind of figure it out as he goes. So hopefully, down the line, we're able to get out to more of that stuff.
Yeah, but you're in the same path we are. I don't know, if you go to a lot of those, the goal would be a ton of sales, right? And then, like you said, you run lean. Is that going to put you in a different spot than you're in now, or different customer service spot now? If you do those events, or is it just, keep growing like you're growing. Why not?
Yeah, I think growing the way we've been growing has been working well. I never want to get to a spot where, the curve of your growth is so steep that you're dropping off other stuff. I don't want to chase growth just for growth, right? We do well at what we do, and I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of that, because like at the end of the day, our number one goal is to, one, build the best piece of equipment we can. Again, it's not going to be the cheapest. We're not going to be price driven. So if someone's looking for a cheap sprayer, don't call us. Because I don't want that, because that's going to cause a lot more problems down the line. So that's our number one goal. And then the customer service aspect is realizing that the end user is not it's not like some homeowner. It's someone who's making their living. And if you fail to realize that, or you fail to help that person, you're doing that whole company a disservice.
Yeah. That's the one. There's two companies that I can think of, like, that are just so on top of their game, you and Steel Green. And it's just refreshing to hear that, like, you guys understand that if today I had an electrical issue, and if I don't have that sprayer ready to go by today at 6:30 a.m., that's $1,500 worth of production that I have to reschedule. I have to find something for that guy to do. I have to move trucks around, and sometimes I don't even have trucks to move around. Everybody's scheduled. All the trucks are scheduled. And so you guys realizing how important the livelihood of getting us the stuff we need is invaluable. And that's why I stuck with you guys after my previous company, and you guys were my first call when I designed my next truck, and I'll continue to do that. You guys just shipped me off, I think, a pretty nice truck. It's nice. You just see it wrapped up. Do you see it?
I think I saw it on Instagram. Yeah, you got it all ready up. Looked good.
Yeah, man.
And that kind of segments like what we just talked about is we talked about this before we started recording, but I'm currently sitting in New Hampshire because we had a truck come in for service. It wasn't one of our trucks, but a company out of New Hampshire brought us a truck this winter to go through. We had it for quite a while. We had to go through quite a bit of stuff with it. They flew out. They drove it back home. They called me Tuesday. They said, "Hey, this and this are leaking," and we exchanged photos and videos. We talked back and forth, and talking with them, they're like, "Well, I need this truck to go out Monday." And he's like, I have other trucks, but they're all winterized. I haven't gone through them. I don't know if they're going to work. And so, like, it's tough because it's me that has to go do it, and I don't really want to have to go do it. But I left New York. What is today? Say Thursday. So I left New York Wednesday afternoon, drove to New Hampshire, spent the night last night, got a hotel at like midnight, drove to this client this morning, fixed everything that needed to be fixed. And now I'm just sitting here doing this with you, and I'm going to head back home.
The life of a growing small business. But you nailed it. Like, if you don't do that, then what?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I went to the shop and I'm like, "Hey guys, like, this was here all winter. We dropped the ball on this. Like, there's no other answer. Like, what are you going to do? Tell them, hey, sorry for your luck, you figure it out. Like, that's
yeah,
it's not acceptable. That's just, so it looks bad that we had a problem on a piece of equipment that we had, but at the same time, I hope that me coming here, fixing it, makes it right. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, but shit happens. So I hope we're cool now, everything's good, and they can go out on Monday and do what they need to do.
And they probably will. Most customers are like that. If you provide a great response and you provide an adequate response or a fair response, most people accept that. Most people are like, "Great, thanks." But as well as I do, I mean, we're sending out these notifications, and I had a customer that said, "Oh, you did my entire neighborhood, but you missed mine." And honestly, Zach, it was totally my fault. So we switched up the sizes for our equipment. So he got skipped because it was supposed to be a bigger equipment on that lawn. And so I emailed him back he texted me mad at 9:30 at night. And I said, "Hey, sorry, John," whatever his name was. "So sorry. It's my fault. It was a scheduling mistake. I don't, we'll get, I have you rescheduled for Friday. This was Wednesday night at 9:30 at night." And I'll say, I'll be out. He said, you know what? Never mind. I already scheduled a new company to come out. And it's like,
Oh, wow.
man, sometimes you can do everything you can do to retain a customer, but it's just one in 10, as I like to put it.
Yeah, in that instance, like you tried to make it right, like no sweat on you. You know, shit happens. It really does. You know, it's no one's gonna be perfect, but you do what you can do to make it right, and let it fall how it may.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you guys do a great job. I appreciate all you guys do for us and the industry. Any trends you see coming along down the line? I mean, I have one of the electric sprayers, and it's okay.
It's it's not quite there. You know, it's
Yeah,
not. It's a power source. Like we had a Honda came out with their GXE, which is basically it's a it's a power plant that they advertise that can swap out directly with a GX 160 or anything that has a 3/4 inch key shaft engine. So we got one of those. We tested that, and it's just I don't know. It's not there. I know people want it to be there, but I don't think it's there. I don't like selling electric stuff just because I'm not behind it 100%.
yeah,
It'd be all right. It'd be all right if you got to the point where you had just like a service truck, you were going for callbacks, something like that. You could definitely get away with that, but something that's going to be in production all day, day in and day out, it's just not there. And anything electric, the biggest thing is if you use jet agitation, you don't have the flow there.
yeah.
That's
Exactly
thing.
what I ended up using when I bought one. I thought, this will be good. I can use it for certain applications and, a secondary tank because I have it on my 200-gallon rig. And that's what I have now on my truck. And like you said, it's good for if I'm doing some specialty applications or I'm helping some guys, I'm catching up something, then it works for what it is. But those Honda engines, man, you like you said, you could run water through those things, and I think they'd still run for a couple days.
Oh yeah, those and they're bulletproof, and that's one thing too is well, why don't you use like a Briggs engine or like a Subaru or you can use all that stuff, but I'm a firm believer in that Honda engine. It's hands down the best engine out there.
Yeah, and parts are available. It's easy.
Yeah, parts.
Everybody's used to it.
Yeah, I don't know about easy. Honda's difficult. Everything's got to be like, well, we need the serial number to do this. And it's like, okay, I think the 160s have like 4 different recoils now. It's such a pain in the ass for us to try to sell you a recoil because we need your serial number.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. This was fun. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and Gregson-Clark, and yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we're online, Gregson-Clark.com. Again, my name is Zack Smith. I'm always there. If you need me, call. You can ask for me, or you can even email me. It's Zack, ZACK, @Gregson-Clark.com.
Nice. Well, continued success to you, Zack. I appreciate you guys always being there for me, and I'm hoping I don't talk to you for at least a couple weeks. I think we have everything up and running perfectly and smoothly, but I feel like I'm going to eat those words here in the next couple days. We'll see. But I appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun, and we'll talk soon.
All right, Chris. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. See you.
See you later.